Hello and welcome back. I'm Nicole, a cottage witch, and this is my next book haul, tarot haul, random other bits that I collect, and a couple of really fun unboxings of subscription boxes that I get. So I'll get to those at the end. The very first thing I wanted to mention was a couple of books that I forgot that I had read when I did my June wrap-up. And I didn't want to try and remember them for the July one because then I figure I'd probably miss them again. And so the first one is Plant Witchery by Juliet Diaz, which is a beautiful book. My one criticism is that she doesn't cite her sources, like ever. So it's very much a personal gnosis sort of book, which is fine. I have nothing against that as long as it's clear that that's what that is. And when it comes to plant wisdom, magical properties, I'm perfectly fine with that. When it comes to medicinal properties, I'm slightly less fine with that because there are sometimes contraindications, like where you shouldn't take certain herbs if you're on certain medications or have certain other health problems. And there just isn't really much of that. I mean, there's a lot that's great in this book, which I love, but that's a red flag for me when there's medicinal claims but no citations. So anyway, it is a beautiful book. There are a lot of plants in here that I don't work with, but some that I do. And I enjoyed it. It's lovely, and she's got a lot of knowledge to share, which I appreciate. So overall, I'd say I enjoyed it, but with that one caveat. The other book I read was an audiobook of New World Witchery by Corey Thomas Hutchinson? Something like that. I'll put a screenshot of it in if I can remember. And I listened to the audiobook of that, and it was great. I wasn't sure what to expect based on the title, but it was really, really well-rounded. It was diverse. It was really respectful of all the cultures that he talked about, mostly American. And yeah, it was a wonderful book with a lot of wide-ranging topics that I think is a great overview, if I can enunciate today, which apparently I cannot. So anyway, that was my addendum to the June wrap-up. And now for the books that I've got. There is a storm rolling in, which is why it's getting a little shadowy here. So we'll see how much I can do before the sun goes away completely, which it may do. The first two books I bought were books that I had wanted to buy since I read his book, Folk Witchcraft. Still can't enunciate, by Roger J. Horn. And one is about spirit flight and one is about cartomancy. And so these I was excited to read, especially because, I mean, spirit flight interests me with my work with plants. And cartomancy, particularly playing cards and Marseille, is what caught my attention here. So, looking forward to reading those. I don't know when I'll get to this, but I'm glad to have on my bookshelf now A Deed Without a Name by Lee Morgan. I've been reading a bit about the history of, as he says on the back here, quote unquote, traditional witchcraft, which has a very debatable history. Excuse me. And so I'll talk more about that probably in the July wrap-up. But I'm excited to have this one, and I will get to it someday. The next book I got, I probably also didn't need to get right this very minute, but it's Tarot: The Open Reading by Yoav Ben-Dov, and I've heard a lot of great things about this one for learning Marseille. And the only reason I say I didn't need it right now is because I still haven't finished Untold Tarot. But I will do that, and then I will read this one, and it will be delightful, I'm sure. The next books I got, the last three, are all secondhand books. So I was lucky to get a couple by Corinne Boyer, who's The Witch's Cabinet I'm reading right now, and I really enjoy it. Any combination of plants and folk tradition, very much my thing. So this one is Dream Divination Plants and Plants of the Devil. In the Northern European tradition for this divination one, but I think that's what she usually discusses, so I expect these plants will be Northern European as well, although I don't know that. And then I got this tome here, which is heavy. It's called Nordic Folk Traditions, The Deep Roots of Modern Customs and Belief. And it came recommended by somebody I can't remember, and it looks very well cited. A lot of documentation, a lot of, as much as possible, original sources, as far as I can tell, and appendices, and more than one. So, I mean, this will take me a while to get through, I expect, because it doesn't seem like the sort of book you can read like a novel, but it is also very much my thing. So those are the books I've gotten lately. The decks I've gotten lately, I've talked about the Marseille, I think, in other videos, but I hadn't talked about it in the last book and deck haul, I don't think, because I think it came just after that, after I filmed that. So that is this beautiful deck, the 7th Sphere Tarot de Marseille, which I've used a bit already, studied with the Untold Tarot. So that's delightful. I love the color palette in this. And yeah, I'm having fun learning about it. It's easier to learn about, look at that, love it. Easier to learn than I expected, I think, although, as I say, I still have to finish the Untold Tarot. But I will get to that one of these days. And then I got the most colorful tarot deck I've ever seen in my life, which is the Spectro World Tarot. And it's just very colorful. It reminds me of my childhood, like the sort of things I liked as a kid. So, like, yeah. I don't think it'll be a deck I use frequently, but I wanted to get it before he ran out. If he runs out, I don't know if he will. But he's on to a 2nd edition now, which is actually more expensive than this one. These are the backs. And I preferred this one, so I thought I would get it before it runs out. I think it will probably just be an occasional, when I need cheering up sort of deck, which is fine. Oh, I'll do that later. Alright, and then the last deck I got, and this has used up all my deck budget for the foreseeable future, because it's shipped from Australia, is The Weird of Sarah Howard. And I've only sort of flipped through it and used it once, and it's lovely. I think I've talked about it in one video before, but I can't remember if I've posted that by the time this will go up or not. But this is new to me. And again, it was one of those seize the moment sort of ones, because she was having a sale. Not a sale, like it was back in stock. And it usually is not. So had to jump on this, but yeah, will not be buying anything from Australia for a while. I also do like that it doubles as playing cards, which is super fun. So that's the 3rd deck. This is very much I think a take out into nature, preferably by a body of water sort of deck. So those are the decks. Now I also got a few other things. I've done some pollinator, like public access pollinator education activities lately. The university where I live had some events, So I've done that and came home with some super cute pollinator stickers just for fun. My library had a pride pin, so I had to pick that up. And then I got this gold, it's a gold ink, ink pad sort of thing, which I think I'm going to try edging a deck in. This was recommended by Dawn Michelle, who seems to be the master of deck mods. So I figured if it was recommended by her, it must be pretty good. So I'll give that a go. And then during another thunderstorm a few days ago, there were some trees that fell over. There was a couple of elm trees, and I picked up some bark off the ground from one of those, but I can't find it at the moment. And a spruce tree had been completely uprooted, which was an astonishing sight, just to see the roots out in the open. So I clipped off a few of the roots. This darker one was nearer to the surface, and these two are directly underneath the tree. So I'm not really sure what that means, but those are amazing. So those are blue spruce roots. And then I found a couple of feathers that are, yeah, you can kind of tell they're iridescent. I think they're crow feathers. So they've got some blues and greens and yellows and purples, and they're pretty cool. This, I think, is a Calyach sort of item for me. And this, I don't know. I just found it on a walk, and it's long and gorgeous and amazing. So I have those. And then I've been reading a book about Scottish witchcraft, which talks about black healing stones. And I was on a walk. And I'm not sure how to describe this exactly, but basically talking to sort of the Calyach, and this was a little black stone. It's just tiny, that appeared on the walk, that has become my first black healing stone. So yeah, I'm not sure. I know based on this book, Scottish Witchcraft, which again I'll talk about in my July wrap up of books I've read once I finish it. It talks about seining it with milk and honey, which I haven't done yet, just washed the sand off of it. But yeah, that is that. So those are all the random bits from walks, because I can never go on walks without ending up with things in my pockets. That's just not something that happens. One other thing that interests me that I'll just mention here because a box came is skincare. Partly because I don't have great skin. I never have. I think it's a genetic thing. It's also a mental health skin picking thing, which I'm not thrilled about, but that's what I gotta deal with. So anyway, there are some skincare, like dermatologist videos that I watch, and I like trying different things just to try them, just for fun. And I have recently found a website that's probably not new to most people, but was new to me, which is Stylevana, for buying Korean, Japanese, other East Asian skincare and makeup and various other, I think they have hair products. Yeah, they do as well. So this arrived, and now I'm gonna make a mess with it. This sunscreen I've bought once before. I don't know how loud this is going to be. I'll have to see when I listen to it back. It is the most amazing. the most amazing sunscreen I've ever tried. It's called the Beauty of Joseon, I think is how you say that. And it blows North American sunscreens right out of the water. There's no competition, and I will never go back to any Canadian or American sunscreens after this, because this is like the most beautiful face lotion you've ever used, except it's sunscreen, and a really effective one, because I bought 1 box before just to try it, and then had to get 4 of them in my next order so I don't run out this summer. So that's the first thing. Here's a sample of a couple things I'm not at all familiar with. This, I have a hard time. Tsubaki. This is a Shiseido product, I think, but it's all in Japanese except for the Tsubaki hair milk on the front. But my hair is really dry, but also really thin and fine. So I have a hard time finding things that moisturize it without weighing it down, and that works. It's amazing. The other 2 things I reordered. This box was just me reordering things that I already knew that I liked. Because this was my second box. And the first order that I made from Stylovana was me just trying the smallest versions of things. So, this is a bigger version of this product, which I think is also Beauty of Joseon. Yeah, it is. The box is a bit squished, but that's okay. It did come from Hong Kong. This is a green tea and panthenol calming serum, which need to get some scissors here. One moment. There we go. Because my skin gets irritated quite easily, and because sometimes I'm the one doing the irritating, unfortunately, this is lovely. My skin really likes their products, Beauty of Joseon. They're very gentle, very good for, like, my skin is very sensitive. And is this Korean? I think it's Korean. Yep. Okay. That's that. And then the last thing I got was a couple more of these little Laneige Sleeping Lip Mask Berry. These are ludicrously expensive, but they're also amazing. So I got 2 of just the mini ones because I didn't want to pay for the giant one, and I don't really need that by my bedside because I go through so little at any one time that this will last for quite some time. And I think at this point in the day, I'm going to call it a day and film the unboxings tomorrow with hopefully slightly more sunlight. So I'll see you again in a minute. I was going to add in another unboxing here of a couple other things I'm expecting, but they've been delayed in the mail, so I'll add them in next time. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.